Hey guys, it's Mike. Today I'm going to show you how to change and how to find where the battery is on this 2005 BMW X5 3.0i. The battery is not in the hood, the battery is not inside the car, the battery is actually in the trunk. So what you have to do is come back here, take everything out that you need to take out, and this little latch right here, you're going to push it down and it pulls this whole bottom piece up. There's a little hook right here. Grab it, take it, hook it on. That way you have clearance to work on whatever you need to work on. In this case, we're working on the battery. The battery is actually right there, and we need to take that and this bracket off. So the tools you're going to need is a ratchet, 10mm socket, a 13mm socket, and an extension. You can use a wrench, which is a common hand tool for everybody, but this is also common for some people, so I'm going to be using this. Okay, so let's start. The first thing you're going to need to do is this little plastic piece. It helps you pull the tire out when you have a flat, so you pull this up and it gets the tire out. So you basically pull it, it pulls the tire up, and this is kind of in our way, so what we're going to do is put it up here. Take this piece, push it in, and that piece hangs just like that. So you're going to just throw it on top, that way you have some room to work. So what we're going to do now is take this top piece off to get to the battery. There's 4 10mm bolts, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I already untied these, so it's not hard, they're not too tight. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 bolts that go on there. Put that to the side, and this whole piece comes off. So you're going to put that also to the side. Now you're going to have these bolts down here. There's 1 right there, and there's 1 right over there. These are both 13mm bolts, and they come off pretty easy. I already untied them, but I'm going to unscrew them for you so you know which one I'm taking off. That's 1, which was right. It was right there, and it was this bolt, and then there's 1 down here which I already untied. You take that one out, it comes off also. Put that to the side. Now this whole piece at the bottom comes out. It's only 2 bolts holding it, so put that also to the side. Okay, so what you're going to do now, grab your 10mm, grab an extension. It doesn't matter how long, I just had a long one next to me, so I just grabbed it. And we're going to be taking that one off. These 2 bolts on top of here are 10mm. They're pretty easy to get off, so twist them, put them to the side. Twist this one. And put it to the side. You're gonna come right here. There's this 10mm bolt. take it and you unscrew it. And it's this long wall right here. After you pull the battery out, it goes in the same way it came out. This is the battery. It was just dirty for mine, so all you're gonna do is clean this off and put it back in, which was my case, but reinstalling it is the same way you took it out, and I'm gonna show you that now. Alright, so just for anybody who doesn't know, this wire is the negative wire, and this goes for all cars. You can find out which wire is the negative wire because usually after it connects to the battery, you follow the wire. It can split off in different directions, but if you find the closest part to it and you follow it, it goes all the way back. And you can see right here, this wire is the negative, so it's gonna keep going. You can't really see it, but it goes back up and follows right there, and that's against the frame, so that's ground, and that's why this is negative. Positive usually has the red on it, or it says positive on it. Sometimes you can figure that out by following it to the fuse box, but the fuse box is sometimes next to the battery, sometimes it's not next to the battery. Alright, so here's my battery. The only thing wrong with my battery was it was corroded on here. You can see like it's not really shiny or anything. This side I cleaned off just now. You can see that it's clean. You can pick up one of these at AutoZone or Harbor Freight. They're a couple dollars, and basically they, give me a second. Basically, these clean your battery. You put that top piece through here, and you twist it to clean it. And then to clean the inside of your cables, you take it apart, and it cleans the inside of your cables. They're really cheap and they're really helpful, especially if you need to clean your battery. Sometimes it gets corroded a lot. So I cleaned this one already. It goes on just like this, and you twist it, and you keep going down, and you can see it's shiny. This one's really dull. It's not really cleaned at all because it was corroded. So basically you put it on, now you can see that it's clean because it's shiny. It's not really dull anymore. Both sides are clean. I like to take the tip of it and just clean the top of it. Okay, so now you can see that it's cleaned and it's ready to go back in the car. Sometimes the battery will look good, but the cells on the inside will be damaged because of how old they can get. This battery is not new, but it's still good. And basically the only thing wrong was cleaning these and the terminals, which the wires that connect to here, and I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so now we're back underneath everything. These terminals, you can see on the inside, they're pretty like dull. They're not clean at all. They're not shiny at all. Same thing with this one. It's dull on the inside. Some cars are gonna have them where they're like super corroded, where those pieces will actually like break because how corroded they are, and you had to replace the whole wire. On this car, some cars you could just replace the terminal piece. So I'm gonna show you how to clean those right now. Okay, so you're gonna grab this back again, and instead of using this piece, you're gonna open it back up, and this piece right here, this piece right here, you're gonna use the top to clean the inside of them. Alright, so I just cleaned them. I don't know if they catch it on camera or not, but it's actually shiny now because it's cleaned. You gotta check these connections. Sometimes they be dirty and it won't connect right, so the car won't start. This car does start, it's just the battery keeps dying, which is because of the corrosion on there. So it charges just enough for you to start it, but it won't start again because of it's corroded. So I cleaned this one, which is the positive cable and the negative cable. So now I'm gonna put the battery back in, and I'm gonna show you how to do that also. Alright, now that the battery's back in, negative cable goes where it says negative at, which it says negative on that sign. I'm trying to show that. Negative is right there. Positive is right there. So take your negative cable, connect it, and take your positive cable, connect that one. After you connect them, grab your tin and tie it back down. Also, when you're tying down the positive cable or the negative cable, make sure you don't have a tool that can reach and touch from here to there, because it will cause a spark or an explosion, or it can catch fire. On the positive cable, everything that's around it that's metal is negative. So if you're using a small ratchet or a wrench, try not to let, while you're tying it down, try not to let it touch any type of metal. So don't let it like touch like against metal. And on this, it doesn't really matter because all the metal is already negative, so there's no sparks. And you tie this down also. So after you tie them down, make sure they're not loose and they can't move, which the positive cable moves just a tiny bit. Alright, so after you tie them down, you're gonna start putting everything back in, which are back together. Alright, everything's tied back down. The screw that I unscrewed, that was right there, was actually, I guess, taken off because of that. So I have to redo it and put it back on top. Okay, so on mine, the screw that was right there that I took out was actually the bracket to hold the battery in so it doesn't slide around when you're driving. I do not have that piece, which it's fine. I'm gonna put the screw in there so it doesn't slide as much. So I'm gonna find the hole down here. It's only one hole, you can't miss it. You can't mix it up with anything. I'm gonna tie that up. As you can see, it's right there. There's supposed to be a bracket that goes all the way across on top of it, which I am actually missing. So I guess the previous owner, before I bought the car, had the bracket on there and took it off when they changed the battery, but was too lazy to put it back on there. But this is fine because it can slide. The negative cable's right there, so if it touches this, it's not a problem, which is kind of impossible, but if it could, it wouldn't make any sparks because it's already a negative. So this is fine where it's at. It's not even a finger, so it's not going to make a difference if it's lit a little bit or not. And that's it for that part. Okay, after you got everything tied back down, which is the cables and the bracket that holds it, which I don't have, again, because the previous owner, I guess, didn't put it back on when they changed the battery. So now you're going to put the little triangle piece frame that was on top of everything back together, which it goes just like this. Make sure you don't let the metal touch the positive, because if it touches the positive cable, it can cause a spark and a fire. The bolt that went back in that spot is a 14 millimeter. Go back on this side, a 14 millimeter, and the bracket you're gonna put down first before you put the bolt back in. Here's the bracket, and make sure when you put it back in, it goes the right way, so the top plate where the tire sits on goes back in the correct way. So you're gonna take it. There is a bolt down there which it slides into. Make sure you watch for the positive cable. Put it down, and it's lined up. Okay, so now I'm gonna tie the screws back down, which was this one, on this side. Oh crap. Okay, on this side I unscrewed it just for y'all so y'all can see and make sure, and just to make sure that you don't touch the positive cable against the metal. You don't have to take it off. I just took it off so I can show y'all everything you need to know about the negative cable and the positive cable. And it's not really untied. I took it off, but this bracket just slides back. That bolt was already in there. It's also 13. It's the same as that bolt. is exactly lined up like that. And then it's the bottom bolt, which is 2 bolts that go down here and here. Alright, so you're gonna grab them bolts again, which is a 13mm bolt, and you're gonna come back down here and you're gonna put them on. Screw them down as tight as you can with hand. And you're gonna grab the other one and you're gonna put that on there also. Tie it down as much as you can. Okay, so everything's tied down by hand so far. And now what you're gonna do is grab your ratchet and extension, grab your 13mm socket, make sure you tie them back down. I'm gonna do these first. It is right here. I tied them somewhat hand tied, or tied that one somewhat hand tied. This one's the same way. Just tie as much as you can, but not too tight so you don't snap the bolt. And then the same things for this one. And same thing on the other side. Okay, now that they're all tied back down, you're gonna grab that bowl that goes back on top of this with the 4 10mm bolts that go in these holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I got the bolt. It only goes one way. Well, you can turn the bolt actually any way to put it back on. It'll line up. It's just make sure you line them screw holes up so all the bolts can go back in. So you're gonna grab all 4 of your 10mm bolts, screw them back in. After you get those bolts back in, grab your ratchet, take 13 off, put your 10mm back on, and tie these down. It really doesn't matter which way you tie them. Just make sure you tie them down pretty tight so it doesn't move. I grab it by the, when I'm doing them, like this one, I grab it right here by the top and pull as tight as I can, and make sure it's tight enough so it doesn't move anywhere, but it's tight enough that it won't actually snap the bolt. After you're done putting that back on, what you're gonna do now is grab okay, so what you're gonna do is that piece that you put back up there, you're gonna grab the rope, pick it back up, and put it back down. This goes right here. Sits on top of the tire. So if you have the tire in there, it sits on top of the tire while that sits at the bottom, like the actual circle piece. So you put it back at the bottom just like that, and it lines up by itself. Everything's tied down. And you come back up here, take it back out, drop it, she lines up, push it, and everything should be good.